I'm a big proponent of getting the smallest car that meets your needs, not just for price and fuel economy, but I like performance, and size and weight can be a real buzzkill. That's why this is one of my favorite new cars. This is the all-new 2022 Audi S3. Before I get into why I like this S3 so much, do us a favor, hit like and subscribe below to get all of the latest videos. Way back when, a first-generation Audi A4 used to occupy my driveway. Now that was a fun, zippy little car that just seemed to be the right size for everything I needed. Since then, cars have been getting bigger and bigger. Now this S3, for example, is 1 inch longer and 3 inches wider than that first-generation A4. The current A4, by comparison, is a full 10 inches longer than this S3. The S3 fills the middle ground between the more affordable A3 and the high-performance RS3. It's intended for the driver who's seeking a little more excitement than just basic transportation to get from point A to point B, but also for the driver who's maybe not willing to make the sacrifices in comfort and price that comes with the RS3. As far as styling goes, I'm a fan. I like how they've blended these smooth curves and these sharp, faceted flourishes to add some visual aggression. Now, normally, this grille is going to be chrome or silver, but with the optional S Sport package, it blacks them all out. I think it adds something to the whole character. And now here down the side, we have these standard 19-inch wheels that are shod with summer performance tires. These painted calipers, well, they're optional. But the big star down the side of this S3 are these bulging side fenders. They give them this hunkered down look that really adds some athleticism. Here in the back, it's a lot more conservative, but it kind of matches the rest of the car. Down below, we have quad exhaust pipes, which are one of those identifying features of the S3. Overall, I really like the styling of this S3. It has just enough aggression, but it's not so over the top that I feel self-conscious driving it. Of course, styling is subjective, so let us know what you think in the comments below. Under the hood is the same engine as its predecessor, a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that's good for 306 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. It's paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, and Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive is standard. All this combines to get the S3 to 60 miles an hour in a quick 4.5 seconds. Fuel economy is estimated at 23 city, 32 highway, and 27 in combined driving, which is about what we'd expect from this class. Of course, those figures are only applicable if you're driving conservatively, and that is not what this S3 is about, so let's hit the road. The S3 is made for fun, and in this regard, it succeeds. On a twisty road like this, the S3 has an abundance of power, and the handling is excellent. I'm currently in the default comfort mode, but this road calls for a little more performance, so all I have to do is reach down here in the center stack, hit this button 3 times, and that brings up dynamic mode that sharpens throttle response, changes the shift schedule to maximize power, and adds some steering effort and opens up the exhaust. With the optional S Sport package, it also has the adaptive dampers that stiffen up the ride. I'm really not wanting for more power. The sound of the engine, it encourages me to actually mash the pedal down even further. Power delivery is nice and smooth, and the brakes, well, they work really well. There's not a lot of fade even when you're driving it hard, and it's easy to modulate. The steering is super precise, and in the dynamic mode, it adds some more effort. Unfortunately, it doesn't add any more feedback, but I feel like the effort in the wheel is appropriate. But then there's the handling. Oh, the handling. It's so good. The way this thing corners, it's pretty special. Now I'm bombing through these turns faster than I normally do because there's so much grip from these summer performance tires. I can also get on the throttle a little earlier with a lot more aggression thanks to all that all-wheel drive. There's also a few nice little crackles and pops out the exhaust in dynamic mode. Now this road isn't glassy smooth, but the S3, it acquits itself pretty well. It's not really upset by these mid-corner bumps. Now you'll hear a thud coming from the suspension, but otherwise, the S3 remains composed and on its intended path. This is such a great little car for slicing through the canyons like this. I can sort of see wanting more power if I was on a racetrack, And for that, well, you have the RS3 with 400 horsepower. And that only starts $2,000 more than this particular S3. It kind of makes me wonder, is it worth the sacrifices in comfort? Well, thankfully, we have one coming in a few weeks, so we should have that answer for you, so stay tuned. Of course, none of us spend all of our time at the racetrack or in the canyons like this. Well, that means the S3 also has to be good in the regular commute. So let's take it out of dynamic mode, get back into comfort, and things get a lot calmer. The throttle gets a little lazier, the steering gets a lot easier to turn, and everything quiets down quite a bit. One thing that I'm not a big fan of is right off the line. Now, right off the line, you do get a quick wake up from the auto start stop, but there's a slight delay in power delivery that makes this S3 feel a little slower than it actually is. The thing is though, I've had a lot of experience with this particular transmission in other Volkswagens, and it's something that you can actually get used to. All things considered, the S3 is as good in the curves as it is on the commute. And when you think of how well this thing handles, that's an impressive feat. Of course, that's only part of the story. So let's pull over and talk about the interior. I like the interior design of this S3. It's a great evolution of Audi's ongoing design. It has that modern for the times look, but still has an understated edginess. The angular and faceted dash, it really blends well with the exterior design, and everything is within easy reach of the driver. Materials quality is good for the class, but I did expect a nicer dash topper for a car that's knocking on 60 grand. There's a cleanliness about the design that really makes it feel special. And they did it without removing all the buttons and plopping a big tablet in the middle. I like how they kept a lot of these shortcut buttons because you can use them without having to take your eyes off the road. There's also a nice consistency about all of these buttons, and that's something that Audi has always done. It has this nice, satisfying, and sturdy double click from every little button, and they're all the same click. It's that kind of attention to detail that make Audis feel just a little bit more special. The infotainment is well placed to reduce distraction, and it's really easy to use and get acquainted to. Wireless versions of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard equipment, but there is a slight delay in response that I think is pretty forgivable. It does seem like they could have capitalized more on interior storage though. Right here in this center console, there's a little bit of dead space next to the gear selector that could have been used for some kind of a slot or something. But there is a nice rubberized phone charger here that keeps your phone from sliding around and popping out. Cup holders and this center armrest bin and door pockets, well, they're kind of on the small side, but it should be adequate. These seats have some pretty aggressive side bolstering to keep you well secured while you're cornering, but they're not so aggressive that you feel confined or you have to kind of loop yourself over when you're getting in and out of the car. The seat cushions, they're a little firm, but in Audi's defense, I don't have a lot of padding back there. I have a bony butt is what I'm saying. Elsewhere, visibility is great. This A-pillar right here is really nice and thin, and the view out the back is almost unencumbered. Of course, this is a sedan, so let's see how the seats are behind me. As small as the S3 is, I have just enough room back here to be comfortable. I'm 5'10", and the driver's seat is set for me. My head is brushing the headliner, and my thighs, well, they don't have a lot of support, and I can't really stretch out my legs, but it's pretty much par for the course for the class, so you can't really knock it that hard. And we also have some minimal amenities back here. We have 2 USB-C charge ports, as well as some auxiliary vents, but you don't really have full control. You do have a little bit of temperature control though, and that's pretty nice considering that, the rear seats aren't a priority. Behind me though is 8.3 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Now that is on the small side. It's actually even less than the A3 because this has all-wheel drive. On the plus side, these rear seats are 40-20-40 split folding, so it gives you some of that flexibility between passengers and cargo. Another added bonus is there's a nice little drop-down hook for your shopping bag, so you won't come back to a giant yard sale if you've been having fun in the canyons. There aren't a lot of direct rivals to the S3. Most drivers are going to cross-shop it with the BMW 2 Series, and it's a really close battle between them. This S3 aligns most closely with the M240i xDrive, which is comparably priced when you load it with similar feature content. The BMW is quicker and has more power though, but personally, I'm drawn more to the S3's aesthetic. The Mercedes-Benz AMG CLA 35 and 45 are also strong alternatives and benefit from one of the best infotainment systems out there. Outside of the luxury brands, there are more alternatives that get you a lot of bang for your buck. Muscle cars like the Ford Mustang and Chevy Camaro, well, they trade some interior refinement for that V8 punch. There's also the BMW-built Toyota Supra that has similar performance, as well as the delightfully compact and sprightly Volkswagen Golf R. Now, while those Mercedes AMG CLAs have a decent amount of performance, they are a little more old school, more focused on luxury. While the BMW, well, that's a little more focused on performance. This S3 sort of splits the difference, and I like the balance between the two. Prices for the S3 start right around $47,000 for the base premium trim. Stepping up to the Premium Plus will set you back 50 grand and get you items like adaptive cruise control, a wireless charging pad, and lane keep assist. This is the top prestige trim that starts around $54,000 with features that include an upgraded digital instrument panel, navigation, premium audio, a head-up display, and upgraded headlights. This particular S3 has an as-tested price of $57,440, courtesy of the optional S Sport package. That adds a sport suspension with adaptive dampers. On top of that, this slick blue paint, black trim, and premium leather upholstery are also options. After some inspired miles driving this 2022 Audi S3, I can confidently say it checks all of the boxes for me. It's fun to drive, it's comfortable for the everyday commute, it's loaded with easy-to-use tech, and it just makes you feel special. Sure, the trunk is on the small side and there's a slight delay off the line, but otherwise, this S3 fits my lifestyle perfectly. If it were my money, I would stick with the mid-range Premium Plus trim and add that optional S Sport package. That should save about 7 grand off of this test car. But then again, for another 2 grand on top of this, you could get that RS3. So what would you do? Stick with the S3 or spend a little more for that RS3? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe below. Also head to CarGurus.com for all the latest news, reviews, and information. And if you're selling your car, use CarGurus' Sell My Car feature, which will get you top dollar, and they'll even come and pick the car up for you. Well, that wraps it up for this shoot, but we're still on this great road, so time to hit some more road time. Hee hee!